Welcome back to the Mike Check Show. I'm your host, Michael Couche, and welcome back, everyone. Calgary was the center of the AFL this past weekend, and I was lucky enough to check out both games. And I have to say, it was a great weekend of football. You had the Gators playing. You had the Wolfpack, both the season openers. Even the Calgary Stampeders had their season opener, and every Calgary team won. It was great crowd for both. I had a fun time on both games, really. Of course, you can see my video on how the first half of that Gators game went. And for the Wolfpack game, not bad. I was the announcer. Probably the best part of that game. Yeah. Anyways, so before we get into the real action of those games, let's talk about the bye teams. And starting off, the Cowboys got some rest after a great victory over the Bucs. Hopefully they worked on their offense because, oh boy, they're going to need it this week. So, rest and relaxation. That's all I really did. And once again, the Irish had their second bye week, and they're itching to play. Pretty much done hitting each other. I talked to a few of the guys, and they just want the week just to get started. And I don't really blame them. They want to hit the field against their opponents and prove they are the real deal in the AFL. And shout out to Tyler Shaver. I had a quick talk with him. He has 3 jobs and still plays. Jeez, the man's on the grind. But anyways, let's get to the action. The Wolfpack versus the Buccaneers. I'm going to be a little selfish here and talk about myself and my experience with that game. Of course, like I said before, I got to announce the first half of that game, and safe to say I had a great time. Of course, I wasn't planning on doing it. I wanted to do the entire Gators game, but hey, sometimes you gotta take some opportunities. Jeez. But the downside to that was I am terrible with names, as some of you know. So it was kind of bad trying to announce some of those guys and the plays they made. But doesn't matter. I still had fun. But god damn, it was brutal. But doesn't matter. I still had fun poking fun at people while I was at the game. But anyways, let's get to the actual action. It was slow. It was a slow start by both teams. That first quarter ended with a 1-0 score. So yeah, pretty slow. After that, the action picked up offensively and defensively for the Pack. Scoring at least scoring 20 points before half and shutting down the Bucs with 3 interceptions. One would have been a pick 6, but unfortunately it was called back due to penalties, so they got lucky there. It wasn't all bad for the Bucs. They did score a 109-yard kick return touchdown by Ruben. I heard his name today. Ruben, you knew who you are. It was amazing. The Pack ended up winning 37-8. The Bucs couldn't do much on offense. Well, the Bucs offense couldn't do anything. They had some promising runs at times. Not good enough to score. I think. Well, the Bucs do have some solid players. It's just the quarterback and solid players. The quarterback has a decent arm. It's just his decision making. But like I said before, it was weakness versus weakness, and the Pack had a better defense. They came prepared, and they were ready for what the Bucs had, and safe to say they did it. Besides that one special team mistake, it would have been 37-1, but here we are. Anyways, It's time for the game of the week. And oh boy, this game did not live up to expectations. The final score was 37-20, but those 20 points came near the end of the game, because at half it was 30-0. A bit of a slow start for the Gators. Well, yeah, for the Gators, 2 interceptions, one in the end zone, an error on special teams. Ball went over his head, the punter's head, and he had to kick it out of bounds. And it came up to their 9-yard line, so great position for the Jets. And they could not capitalize. They went 2 and out, missed a field goal, and Gators ball. Unfortunately, I didn't see the rest of the game because, like I said, went to the Pack game. But I heard that Provo took over, and he might just be the guy for the Jets going forward because their offense struggles. It's pretty bad because the Jets D is good, but the offense is letting them down, putting them in terrible situations. They have playmakers, so let's see if Provo can take over and lead the Jets to the promised land, but we'll see. Definitely a tough loss for the Jets going all the way back because the Gators have their number, but who knows? We'll see what the future brings. Gators are looking like top contenders as always, and we'll see it the rest of the way. So we're going to talk about my power rankings. All right, I will do this week's games first, then the power rankings, because the power rankings is going to be like that, simple. The Irish are finally playing, and it's against a struggling Buccaneers team that has lost 2 straight. This one isn't going to be easy for the Buccaneers, with a struggling offense up against a great defense on paper. So we'll see how that looks, but it's looking bad. If I can suggest anything to the Bucs, I'd lean on your playmakers to keep the drives going and to limit the picks, because those have been killing the Buccaneers. So play smart, get to the guys that you know that can run the rock, and just go from there. And now, time for the Irish. They finally get a chance to let the league know how much work they put in, and we'll see who the starting QB is. And I'm excited for that. But interesting to see how it will work, because they've gone years with a mobile quarterback, but now gonna have a guy in the pocket. I know we won't have to worry much about that offense, because I think they can score in bunches. The defense got some solid pieces, and they shouldn't have much issues with the Buccaneers. So, of course, I'm going Irish on this one. And time for, the Gators. So, Cowboys. Next game, Cowboys are welcoming the national champs to the ranch. Send them to the ranch. Sorry. Stupid YouTube joke. This game, we'll see how good the Cowboys are. To be the best, you have to beat the best. And the Gators are the best. Of course, the Cowboys are well rested. The offense is the key to this game for the Cowboys. Can they move the ball down the field on a tough Gators D? Safe to say is like top ranked. Of course, a tough task for sure. The defense is the strong point for the Cowboys, but that Gators offense is stacked. Like, Merchant did turn the ball over a few times in that Jets win, but I can chalk it up to rust and getting used to his receivers. I don't see him making many mistakes in this game and going forward. Of course, they can run the ball since the Gators have an amazing offensive line and running backs. Of course, they travel well, which isn't good for the Cowboys. But like I said, you got to beat the best, and that's the Gators. So, of course, I'm going Gators on this one. And hopefully I can continue my streak. I'm 4-0 with making my picks. And hopefully I can keep that alive. I think I will. But on to my power rankings. Of course, with only 2 games going, not much has changed. But I am putting the Irish ahead of the Jets. So, Irish 2, Jets 3. Yes, I know. Not Jets. The Irish haven't played. But watching the game on Saturday, I do think that the Irish has the better team. And of course, the Pack's 5th, where they belong, rightfully belong, because they beat the last ranked team on my list. So how are you going to move past the Cowboys? But it is what it is. Anyways, thank you for watching. If you reach this point, I have some exciting news and some projects on the way that I'll be working on. I did hint at what I'm doing on my Facebook page. So if you can if you can figure out what that is, shoot me a message. But I'd like to hear from you guys, see what you think of this week's coming games. I hope you can like, subscribe. I would appreciate it. Stay safe out there and enjoy the games. Mike, checking out.